In math, we've talked about horizontal and vertical shifts where you move a line, right? So if you're given a line, that just means you move it maybe up, down, left, or right. But the look of that line never changes. It always has the same slope. Today we're going to talk about what happens if we multiply the input or the output by something, and that'll change the line up. It might be steeper, it might be less steep, right? It might stretch out up, it might go this way. So that's what happens when you multiply it, right? The slope changes. Let's start with f of x. Now let's say that f of x is equal to 5x plus 1. The rule for vertical, so our vertical rule, says that we're going to take some value of a and multiply it by the entire function. Okay, so some value is going to be multiplied the entire function. Now, when a, the absolute value of a, is greater than 1, we call that a vertical stretch. And when our value of a is somewhere in between 0 and 1, we call that a vertical compression. Let's say that g of x is equivalent to 2 times f of x. So in this, our a value is 2. So because our a value is 2 and 2 is greater than 1, this is going to be a vertical stretch. What's going to happen is I'm going to take the 2 and multiply it by the expression that's equivalent to f of x. Well, that's 5x plus 1. Okay, and we'll notice that the 5 was our slope originally, and the plus 1 is our y-intercept. But now, when I multiply 2 times 5x, I get 10x. And when I multiply 2 times 1, I get plus 2. So g of x, my new equation, is 10x plus 2. When I compare this equation right here to my original one up here, I see that both the slope and the y-intercept are scaled by a factor of 2, meaning I've multiplied it by a factor of 2. This is a vertical stretch. Now let's say, using the same f of x, let's say my a value was a 1/5. So I'm going to take 1/5 and I'm going to multiply that by our original f of x. And I'm going to say that's what g of x is going to be equal to. So that means that g of x is equal to 1/5 times f of x, which is 5x plus 1. Well, when I distribute that 1/5 into the parentheses, I get g of x, because that's what this is all equal to, is equal to x plus 1/5, right? Because 1/5 times 5x is x, or 1x, and 1/5 times 1 is just 1/5. So we'll see that both the slope and the y-intercept did change. Here's my new slope. Here's my new y-intercept. Here's my old slope. Here's my old y-intercept. So since both of them change, we know it's vertical. And in fact, it is a vertical compression because if I go back here, 1/5 is somewhere in between 0 and 1. So this is a vertical compression. That means that both the slope and the y-intercept are scaled by a factor of 1/5.